Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and I get quite a few comments asking, Henry, what is the best Open Grade League team? What's the best team for climbing? Normally, I try and attack the meta by using some anti-meta or undervalued Pokemon, but today, I'm going to answer the question and showcase the team that I believe to be the best Open Grade League team at the current moment. And it has bulk aplenty, Azumarill lead, Shadow Drapion, and Galarian Corsola. It's a pretty simple team idea. You have the best core in the meta, Azumarill, Shadow Drapion, and the best Pokemon in back, Galarian Corsola. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and I'll showcase how the team works. Hopping into the first match, picking up a good lead Azumarill versus Shadow Drapion. Even though Poison Stings do hit Azumarill for super effective damage, you completely wall their charge moves. Aqua Tail, Crunch, neither one's going to do a ton of damage. I go for a bait, and that play gets punished so severely as they end up making a catch onto Feraligatr. Had I gone for the play rough, I would have been in a very nice position, but by them catching an Ice Beam, that is genuinely devastating and puts me on the back foot in this game. I'm going to send in the Shadow Drapion, but they're already at back-to-back Hydro Cannons, and I lose the CMP tie, so I cannot click Crunch here. That would be a really big misplay. So instead, I'm forced to double shield and then farm up so that my Poison Stings put them into Aqua Tail range. I'm at the back-to-back Aqua Tails. Opponent knows they cannot shield as I have two moves, and they're just going to let themselves get KO'd. Back in comes the Drapion. Drapion is going to be firing off the Aqua Tail. That does some serious damage. I get to the back-to-back, but I don't see a sneak. And that tells me that this is a CMP tie, and unfortunately, I'm not going to get to use my second Aqua Tail. So now I just have to hope that Galarian Corsola will be able to sweep in the end game, and in the back is Cresselia, and this game is a win. Farming up quite a bit of energy with the Corsola. If I wait a turn here and then switch, I should be able to get a catch. So I do just that and get the catch, and that will very comfortably seal this win. Did I need the catch? No, but they made such a devastatingly good catch earlier that I felt like I had to return the favor. Opponent, honestly at this point, their win con is to try the exact same catch that I went for, which is waiting the turn, so I just watch, they wait, they send in the Drapion. Drapion will get astonished down by Corsola. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. We move to the next game, Azumarill versus Diggersby, a terrific lead. Opponent safe switches into Feraligatr, and I immediately make a big misplay. Switching a Drapion down energy into a Feraligatr in the Great League is not a winning play, because we have identical pacing, but the Feraligatr wins the cap tie. I can bait to catch back up with the Aqua Tails, but unfortunately, even with a double bait, my opponent is still going to be able to win the twos here. So what I should have done was stayed in with the Azumarill, tanked a move, grabbed the shield with the play rough, and then I could have looked to switch out. Here, I will go for the Crunch. They should undertap, so I'm actually going to catch back onto the Azumarill. This way, I preserve an Aqua Tail on the Drapion to help deal with the Diggersby later. Opponent choosing to stay in with the Feraligatr. And from the last game where an opponent caught an Ice Beam on a Feraligatr, I know this should be about Ice Beam range, so Ice Beam will be able to deliver a knockout. Opponent sends back in the Diggersby, much to my surprise. Diggersby banks a ton of energy, and that's actually a very nice play from my opponent. And they send in Talonflame. So they know that Talonflame is not going to be threatened by Azumarill's charge attacks. Now I'm just going to send in Galarian Corsola, because I know that Galarian Corsola not going to be doing anything against the Diggersby. They will be full setting the Brave Bird. That does massive damage due to the defense drop from that Brave Bird. The Astonish that went through actually KOs, and now back in comes the Diggersby. Diggersby, unable to farm down here, will be forced to go for a Fire Punch to deliver a knockout. Fire Punch KOs the Corsola. I send in the Azumarill. They can go for the Scorching Sands. Even if they debuff, this game is still over. A debuffed Ice Beam plus an Aqua Tail will still be game winning. They do get the debuff, but it will not matter, as Ice Beam will connect. And right on cue, there's the combo play with the Drapion. Aqua Tail will KO that Diggersby, and things did get a bit uncomfortable in the mid-game, but we're still able to take the win. Azumarill versus Azumarill in the next match. I'm very fine staying in and playing this out, but the opponent does not want to do that. Instead, they're going to send out Serperior. Serperior is farming up quite a bit. They actually play to a CMP tie that they do not win. Crunch is going to connect. Pretty significant damage onto Serperior. Serperior is going to return fire with the Frenzy Plant. It's resisted, but it does do more damage than an Aerial Ace. This will force me to go for the Aqua Tail. I am able to win the CMP tie as they make Frenzy Plant number 2, and now I get to deny their energy. In comes the Azumarill, and Azumarill is going to pay a heavy price for this farm down. I'm going to get some nice damage with the Drapion. These poison stings will add up. I go for the Crunch. Crunch does get the defense drop. I try and make it to Crunch number 2. I should have just settled for the Aqua Tail. In the back is Venusaur, so the opponent running a double grass line, and from here this is just a very straightforward win. I'm actually running a terrible IV Galarian Corsola. I recommend building way better than I have. I built it just to have one for content purposes. I am actively trying to trade for a better one, but Galarian Corsola you want as close to a rank 1 as possible, as there's just things that a high rank Corsola can do that my Corsola could never even dream of. But even so, this is still going to be a very straightforward game. I'm able to force the final shield by under-tapping the Nightshade, and then I can just bring in the Azumarill and watch for a potential catch. They switch out into the Azumarill before I even make it to the Ice Beam, but I'm just in a completely winning position. I will be able to farm up. Play Rough will not KO, but this will put them into Ice Beam range, and I just have to make sure that I have an exact understanding of the residual energy on their Venusaur, because if Venusaur can get to a second Frenzy Plant, this game will be a loss. So what I can do is I can throw 2 more bubbles, and I know that they are not going to be able to reach the double Frenzy Plants before I can make the Ice Beam, so this is a pretty straightforward win. So I farm up. They will make a last second Frenzy Plant right before I get to my move. They would need back-to-back to win, and they just don't have the energy for it. So by knowing exactly where my opponent's residual energy was at on the Venusaur, we're able to get the right overfarm and take the win. We move to the next match, Azumarill versus Walrein. Walrein, honestly, a little bit of an uncomfortable Pokemon for this team to see, just purely based off the fact that its energy goes everywhere. Walrein staying in this matchup, and I am going to strike first with a Play Rough. Play Rough from the Azumarill is going to be no-shielded by the Walrein. There's a safe switch into Malamar, and this is looking like a team that I myself featured last season, because this is the exact play pattern that I recommended versus Azumarill leads. Tank a move with the Walrein because the energy is more useful elsewhere, and then safe switch the Malamar. So if it is the team that I showcased, then the third is going to be, unfortunately for me, Serperior. I would love to put Drapion on the Serperior, but unfortunately I need the Drapion for the Malamar. Here I'm going to overfarm as much as I can, firing off the Crunch as they get to the move. They are heavily debuffed. I do get the defense drop, but realistically it's not going to matter a ton. Superpower is going to land, their clock's up, in comes the Walrein, and they're able to get the snipe down. And this Walrein stored so much energy from earlier. I bring in the Azumarill. Azumarill will be hit with an Earthquake. I'm going to try to make it to another Play Rough, but they get another Earthquake, so I'm not able to get the move. Earthquake will KO. Now it's all up to Corsola versus the world. I know that I'm going to need a lot of energy on the Corsola, and that a Frenzy Plant, if it is Superior, will hit a lot harder than Icicle Spear. So I am going to get that full farm down. Opponent still does have Malamar, but the Malamar is completely dry. They bring in the Malamar. I can throw 3 Astonishes and the move, getting this energy to land right before they make it to their charge attack. In the back, show me Serperior, and it is the Serperior. So we are actually in a winning position as long as they're not on Leaf Tornado. Because if they got a Leaf Tornado debuff, then my double Nightshade wouldn't KO, but judging by the fact that they did not throw, they're not on Leaf Tornado, they're on the regular moveset, so thanks to recognizing my own team, I am able to get that win. And we just get a dream lead in Game 5 of the set. Azumarill, oh no, Azumarill into Dragonite. They save switch Cresselia, and that's just not a Pokemon you can save switch in a Drapion meta, as Drapion will just destroy it, and they're on Future Sight as well. This is leaderboard Elo. Why is there a Future Sight Cresselia being safe switched in a Drapion meta? Well, Drapion will be very happy to absolutely feast on this poor Cresselia. Drapion is going to overfarm to the max. Crunch would KO, but they deny the energy with a shield. But I'm more than happy to shield back, and with these Poison Stings, I've got it into Aqua Tail range. So now I can leave with quite a bit of residual energy to ensure that I make it to a Crunch versus that Dragonite. In comes the Dragonite. Dragonite is going to now be hit with a Crunch, and this will do a ton of damage. They can't really shield because there's an Azumarill that does almost all their health, and I just bring in Corsola expecting a switch out, and there it is. And Corsola will very comfortably win the ones versus Chestnut because it's just an absolute monster of bulk. It tanks that hit like it's nothing. Opponent realizes they can never Vine Whip down, and they will resign the match. We see a very familiar lead in the next match, Azumarill versus the Shadow Drapion. And again, this is very fine for the Azumarill. We'd much rather have it here than on the Corsola. And if need be, I can also use my Drapion to deal with theirs if they do end up shielding to escape this matchup. I'm going to go for the Ice Beam bait, learning absolutely nothing from that first battle, and this opponent does actually end up calling it, which is a little bit unfortunate. This now means that I believe they should be able to make another move as well. They actually get a defense drop. I'm going to catch the crunch if they go for it, but they only go for the Aqua Tail. I have a very high rank Azumarill, so I actually live that. I can bring in the Drapion, opponent sends out Diggersby, and this is so not an answer to an up energy Drapion when shields are still available. As Drapion just has such a severe pacing advantage, even if they Fire Punch bait, I'm able to make life very uncomfortable for this Diggersby. They do actually go for the Fire Punch bait. I'm now at the back-to-back Aqua Tails, and let's see what they're willing to do here, because they're going to have to start giving up shields, because I have another Aqua Tail loaded and ready to go. So the Aqua Tail is going to be shielded. They switch in their own Drapion, trying to make it to a move, but they get KO'd as they get there. Back in comes the Diggersby. Diggersby is going to fire off a Fire Punch bait, and I end up using both my shields on baits. That's a little unfortunate. I will go for the Aqua Tail. That's going to pick up the knockout. In the back is Shadow Driftblim, and this game is over. I'm able to force the final shield with the Drapion. On top of that, they're going to have to throw here. I have an Ice Beam loaded on the Azumarill, and I have a guaranteed win condition in this match. And that is, farm up with the Corsola, 5 Astonishes, and then switch into the Azumarill and click Ice Beam. If I catch, then I can KO with the Nightshade. If they play to me switching, then I just KO with the Ice Beam. So either way, we have 2 moves loaded, so there's no way for the opponent to win. So the Ice Beam is going to deliver the win. We move to the next match. This game is actually the game where I lost the win streak that I had with this team, and in my view, this is the worst way maybe anyone has lost a game of Go Battle League ever. The game starts off great. Azumarill into Drapion. We know this matchup is a great matchup. They're going to go for the Crunch, and I'm not able to get my Play Rough off as they fire off Crunch number 2. That Crunch is going to do some serious damage. They do get the defense drop. I'm going to go for the Ice Beam, and if they shield, I'm going to look to switch out into my own Drapion. So I switch out into my own Drapion, and then I'm actually staying at my parents' house for the holidays, visiting, and someone turned on my car in the driveway to move it. And as a result, I miss a ton of fast moves in that Drapion mirror. And now, this Aqua Tail is not going to KO. They're going to live this on 1 HP because of the fast moves that I missed due to someone turning on my car in the driveway to move it. And now, I just lost my Drapion. And as you're going to find out, they are so weak to Drapion in the back. So having Drapion in the back would have just been winning for me. But unfortunately, instead, this game's going to end up being a narrow loss. We have Corsola versus Corsola. I'm up in Astonish, which is great. My Corsola, I run a terrible one. No one's going to have a higher attack one than me, so I will play to the CMP tie, hoping that it's going to be something weak to Ghost, but it's superior. And unfortunately, this is just not going to be a win because someone turned on my car in the driveway to move it, and as a result, my Drapion was not able to make it to see their backline. We move to the next match, and man, do I need redemption from that last game, because that, I'll be honest, let me know down in the comments, have you ever had a weirder way of losing a game of Go Battle League? In this next match, I mean, we have a great lead, Azu into Talonflame. I don't time things the greatest, though. I could have done 8 bubbles and my Ice Beam instead of 6, because I do concede 2 free turns instead of 1. They go for the Brave Bird. They're going to save switch into Quagsire, so interestingly enough, they actually save a Fly for later, so I have to keep in the back of my mind at all times, they have a Fly loaded, and they are 1 Incinerate away from a Brave Bird. I'm going to bring Corsola into the Quagsire save switch. Even my terrible Ivy Corsola, like, you can still see how bulky it is, and obviously you can imagine if you had a high rank Corsola, like as close to the rank 1 as possible, you can imagine how much bulkier it would be than mine. So Nightshade is going to be shielded. The opponent now going to send in Diggersby, and this is basically the one thing in the meta that Corsola just can do nothing against. So if you get Corsola onto Diggersby, you're probably not going to win a lot of games. They will go for the Scorching Sands to pick up the knockout, and now up 2 shields, it's going to be Drapion time. Drapion, I shielded at the last second, and I'm happy I did. I was almost about to call it bait, but at the last second, I decided against it, and I'm very happy that I did. So I will go for the Aqua Tail. That will do quite a lot of damage, and we're going to get the catch of the Scorching Sands onto the Azumarill. The opponent, they actually went for a Fire Punch bait instead. They're now trying to quick attack down. There's nothing they can really catch on because they want all of these Mons. Azumarill able to hang on those very good IVs. Ice Beam picks up the KO. Back in comes the Quagsire, but Quagsire has taken too much fast move damage throughout the course of this game. They are in crunch range. Crunch is going to KO. All that's left is the Talonflame. They can make it to one fly, but they are one Incinerate short of the back-to-back. So Drapion gets the Poison Sting down, and we get a redemption. Hopping into the final match, Azumarill versus Gastrodon. Very happy that this is not going to be on the Drapion. A lot of the time, Gastrodon leads. I'm expecting some manner of Ice type in the back. If it's something like Dugong or Alolan Sandslash, which like 98% of are on Powder Snow, then it's pretty okay because Corsola does great into both Dugong and Powder Snow Alolan Sandslash. Here, I am going to be farming up quite a bit of energy, and I will commit the shield as they make it to the Earth Power. If you go double Ice Beam, you can get to the move first, so maybe in the future, I don't play a lot of Azumarill, I might go double Ice Beam in this matchup. I will go for the Ice Beam to deliver the knockout, and they're going to bring in Typhlosion. I pivot into the Drapion, but Typhlosion up energy and up a shield is absolutely terrifying for any team. The Aqua Tail is going to be shielded there at the back-to-back Thunder Punches, and this means that I cannot shield. So I'm forced to just let that through. I still do have the Azumarill, however, and Azumarill is getting pretty close to a move. So I send in the Azumarill, and I will go for the Ice Beam. Realistically, I should go for Play Rough. I'm not making another move. So I go for the Ice Beam, I throw a Bubble, I switch into the Corsola. Did they Thunder Punch, or did they go for the correct move, Blast Burn? They went for the Blast Burn! No! Corsola farms down. I need something I can one-shot in the back, and it's Gastrodon Double Fire, and I get the one-hit KO with the Power Gem. Down goes Talonflame, and that's a good game. All in all, I genuinely don't think that I played particularly well in these sets. I definitely feel like today was an off day for me in terms of battling, and this team still performed unbelievably well. The Azumarill Shadow Drapion core is basically unbreakable. There's a few things that come close to breaking it. Like the closest I think you can get is something like a Dunsparce or something like a Unova Stunfisk. Outside of that, you just can't ever break that core. It's just too good of a core right now. So may as well use it because I imagine at some point Drapion will probably get a nerf, but in the interim, may as well use it because it's an insanely strong core. And Galarian Corsola, it is oh so very strong. Again, I do recommend you want as close to the rank 1 as you possibly can. I've done a couple trades and I just haven't gotten anything good yet, but I'm going to still keep trying to trade for it with Zero Friendship Friends because my goodness, it is unbelievably powerful and it's just so good at absorbing hit after hit and still dealing some pretty great damage. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.